Hello everybody. Ching ching ching. Welcome. Do you remember when I used to do that? Hello, it's me, 𝗣𝗵𝗏𝗧𝗢. It shouldn't be 5-day photo fun, should it? Should be something else, but anyway. This is a new thing. It's going to last for about an hour, I think. And this is what it's about. 𝗣𝗵𝗏𝗧𝗢 Photo Chronicles. I'm going to do it for 3 days in a row at 9 o'clock French time in the evening. And I'm just going to look at some photographs, chat about some photographs, maybe some of the texts, but maybe not. And take any questions that you've got about photography, writing, creativity, anything you like really. So it'll be nice if anyone joins me. If not, I'll just chat away to myself. I'm quite used to that. This is leading into my masterclass. Last week I did a 5-day photographic fun thing and it was amazing. So many comments, so many people contributing. And the next thing that's happening on Monday is that I'm starting my masterclass for the third time. And I think it's going to be better than ever. And yeah, so if you do want to check it out, I'm not going to talk about the masterclass much at all. I'm going to look at my photographs and talk about them, and you give me questions and comments, and that'll be cool. But this is leading into the masterclass, and the masterclass looks, is that the masterclass? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is kind of the lead into that. It's starting on Monday. Early bird is open. Starts on Monday, and it's going to be amazing. So check that out if you would like to. There's the address at the bottom, infinitecreativitynow.com/photo. But this is what today's about. Me talking about my photographs. Haven't done that for ages, and I'm going to do it for 3 days in a row. So if you want to say hello, you can. You know, it's an interactive session, and I'm going to share some photographs. Now, I don't know if you know, but I publish a Paris photograph and a text every single day. This has been going on for some time, and it's kind of become my thing. And I'm at number 1,200 and something days in a row now for photographs and texts. I did a similar thing more than 1,000 days in a row years and years ago. And I thought, about 3 years ago, I thought, wow, it'd be really cool to do it again. I wonder if I could do it again. So on the 1st of January, I started, and on 2018, and I haven't stopped. So it's become a thing. So I'm going to look at some of my photographs because I very rarely actually talk about my photographs. I just publish them every day, publish the text, and I think they could be seen by more people actually. I'm going to do a bit of promo in the next few months, try and get a bit more famous than I am. So what I'm going to do is look at my photographs come in sets like this, sets of 9. So I realized that I wasn't up to date with keeping them up to date. So I'm taking the one that is the latest one, and it's way back in January or something. It's terrible. I've really got to catch up in putting them in these 3x3 grids. But you know, to be honest, any 3x3 grid of 9 is pretty typical. You know, it could be anything, could be everything. The shots are what they are. Every single day is different. That's why it's an adventure. That's why I always encourage people to develop a daily creative habit if they feel like it. But you know, most of the people that I talk to want to be more creative, or they love being creative. So I always recommend a daily creative habit. As small as you like, that's the whole point. Make it small enough that you actually do it, because it's not much of a good habit if you don't actually do it. So something really small, and do it every day. And my thing is photos, amongst others. I'm trying to bring more in, but at the moment I'm still on my photograph with text. And there's a typical grid. I actually chose a chapter is 9 photographs, a chapter which is not typical. I'm going to show you a typical one. I'm just going to go back to the one before that. And a typical one is, okay, there's the grid, the 9x9 grid of the photographs, and there are the photographs with text. So that's typical for me. Quite a bit of text, you know, really well thought out. I've tried hard to make it worthwhile reading, and sometimes there's poems and all the rest of it. So that's why I'm saying they're all like that. The 1,200 are almost all like that. So that's why I'm saying the one that I actually stumbled on is kind of strange, because it isn't like that. And that's because I thought I want to do something different. I try to do something different every now and then, instead of just a text. To be honest, if I do a poem, that's broken up the line of texts. But sometimes I want to do something really different, and I decide to devote an entire chapter to something different. So here is the standard grid, and here is the one that is normally covered in text. And you see I've just put one word on each of them. And these words, I actually released these photos not in order. So maybe I started with the middle one, then the top right, then the bottom left, then the middle left. I can't remember what order, but I released them in a strange order. But when so my game was, could people guess what the next word was going to be? And when you see it like this, the words actually are in order. If you read it in traditional Western way, it goes, no one sees what I see, Paris set me free. And I've put the text, the words, up in the most extreme edges, except the middle one, where it's in the middle. And that comes from a poem. That comes from my dearest little poem, which I wrote about 23 years ago now, and something like that. And it was called My Reality, and in it is the word, I can actually show you. And in it is the phrase, Paris set me free. So I'll read it for you actually. There it is, if I can. My reality. This is my no, here we go. I should know this by heart, my favourite poem. This is my Paris, my reality. No one sees what I see. It belongs to me. This is my sky. These are my clouds, my reality. I belong to no one. Paris set me free. That's from 97. I've been here for about 4 years by then. And that little poem, simple as it is, has actually stuck with me and kind of become my symbolic poem about me having adopted Paris, or Paris having adopted me. I'm never quite sure which. So every now and then it pops up in one form or another. And this is an example where it popped up, a line from it popped up. You see, it says, it's actually not the same line, because the line that I've written here says, no one sees what I see, Paris set me free. Whereas in the poem, you've got a line that says, no one sees what I see, but Paris set me free is at the bottom. So I adapted it for my own purposes. And that was fun. So that was a lot of fun, and it was different. This photograph here, with the I and the me, was actually, let's see if I can find it. They're all in the grid here. There it is. Mr. Perfect, in case you didn't realise. And it's actually photograph number 1111. I'm not a numerologist. I don't, have freaky beliefs about numbers. It's still pretty cool though, isn't it? 1111. So, so I think that's what got me thinking, what can I do that's different with this chapter? And it got the letter I, which actually looks a bit like a 1 as well. That's the one that fell on it. I don't know if I didn't manipulate it. Every one of these photographs that ends in a number 1, I make it a self-portrait. I call it, this is a project in its own right. I was actually doing it way before this current series of photographs, which I call the Paris Photo Chronicles and When Lady Eiffel Smiles. I was doing self-portraits a long time before smartphones. And I like to call them creative disintegration. It's not a question of loving myself particularly, or any sort of ego trip as such. It's because I want to be as creative as possible, and humans are really great subjects, and yet there aren't humans around all the time, except this one. So I am my own subject, and I call it creative disintegration for a reason, because I'm basically watching myself shrivel up and fall off the edge of the planet. And if I look now at some of the earliest ones, when I started taking self-portraits back in, I think it was 2003, not 203, that would make me quite old, 2003, and now I look at me now, and it's a strange sensation. I had more hair for a start, and I had less years. Well, I had quite a lot of things, and it's kind of spooky to look back and also to look through the years. So I think it's a very worthwhile project, because It reminds me of my mortality. And it's also really good because I have to, one of my photographic aims is never to take the same photograph. There has to be something different with it. And I don't mean just, you know, the Eiffel Tower from a slightly different angle. I mean radically different. The Eiffel Tower is another example of an ongoing series of photographs that I'm doing throughout my life. You can see it there, can you? It's in the bottom left. Just poking out from behind this typical Haussmannian building. And I can promise you I have never taken a photograph exactly like this before. Not from this position, not with the lamppost, not with the tip of the Eiffel Tower fuzzy in the fog or whatever it was, not with a bird flying past, never. And if you look down at another Eiffel Tower that happens to creep into this chapter in the diagonal corner below it, you can see that, well, the Eiffel Tower is there. Can you see the Eiffel Tower in the middle at the top? And I think you would agree that it's not the same as the other one. Let me take just the pure shots there. And that's exactly the point. If you're taking photographs and you're publishing them, make sure they're original, not just original like you took it, but make sure it's a photograph you have never taken the likes of before. Push yourself creatively, be creative. So there are two. This was from one, it wasn't from one trip. Sometimes I get several shots. Today, I went into Paris today. I was going to show you today's, but then I realized this wasn't up to date. So there are two. So let me just talk about this a little bit. By the way, if you're watching, say hello. Be nice to know that you're there. And if you're watching the replay, say hello. Ask me a question. What was the last photograph you took? That's me asking you a question. What was the last photograph you took? You happy with it? Was it original? Was it unique? So yeah, I'm just going to talk about my photos. So please ask questions. That would give me something to talk about too. So Eiffel Towers, the Eiffel Tower, it's a kind of series within a series. I am determined to take new photographs throughout my life of the Eiffel Tower. It's my muse, so I kind of owe it to her. And there's a bird in it. Yes, there is. And there's a thing about birds. I've got a thing about birds. I love birds. Of course, you can take pigeons on the ground and try not to step on them, which is one thing. You can play with the patterns on the ground, but you can also try and get them in midair. And I'm kind of sort of semi-known for having birds in sort of propitious places in my pictures. And you could look at this in three ways. You could either imagine it's completely by chance that bird was there. Absolute fluke. You know, I was taking the shot, I clicked, and then later I looked and there was a bird in it. Or you could say, or I could say, it was absolutely planned, exactly what I wanted. You know, I'm a bird specialist. I know exactly every single pigeon, seagull, sparrow in Paris knows me. I just have to whistle like in that old series or something, and they come running, flying rather. Well, it's neither one nor the other, of course. You know, it wasn't pure chance. Well, maybe not. Of course, it could have been pure chance, but you'd have to have been damn lucky. And no, I don't control the behaviour of all birds in Paris, although I'd quite like to have people pretend that I do. It was a combination of the two, really. So what do? Well, I had the shot, and there's this huge lump of blank sky in the top left. Bit boring. And I would have taken it, and I'd have been happy with the shot. But isn't it much better with the bird? And I could see birds circling. Every now and then they would fly past and all the rest of it. So I waited. I just waited. But you wait in a certain way. You don't just wait, you know, with your hands in your pockets and, you know, looking at some other stuff. You have to wait with your thumb hovering over the button, exactly the right position, because the bird isn't going to stop in mid-flight for you. So the luck is that the bird flew there. The skill or the experience is I got it. And there you go. And there were plenty of shots that I took of that with no bird in. So there was that one. Let me look at this one as well. because it's got the Eiffel Tower in. And this was pretty cool because almost all my shots are unexpected. I went to Paris today, got a few shots, could never have predicted the shots that I would have got. Okay, I went near the Eiffel Tower and I happened to get a shot or two with the Eiffel Tower. That wasn't a surprise. But it wasn't like any other shots I've ever got before. And I might show you those in tomorrow's or the last days maybe. Maybe the last day will be my most up-to-date shots. I'm not sure. So, wandering around, you might think there's a huge lake at Place de la Concorde that they've installed just for me to get reflections. There isn't, but that day there was a puddle. It had rained or something. It looks like a huge puddle. It wasn't that big, but you can do things with photography to make it look big. So I did whatever was necessary to get that photograph. And it's pretty, when I say photographs are impressive, I don't care whose photograph it is. If I say it's impressive, I look at this photograph and I'm impressed by it. And that's good. I want to be impressed by my photographs. I'm not being modest. I just want to take amazing photographs that please me. And that's what I try to get everybody to do, take amazing photographs that please them. So I look at it and I think, wow, did I take that? Is that possible? It's incredible. Such a load of stuff in there going on. But it's still hard hitting, isn't it? I've got someone saying hello. Hey Thomas, how are you doing? Nice to have you here. I'm supposed to be, yeah, there you go. Thomas, hi. Yeah, Thomas, I'm rambling on about photographs. Is that okay? Not really, no sort of aim or anything, just talking about photographs for an hour. If you've got any questions, please let me have them. It'll break up the monotony. So yeah, wandering around, saw that, and then once I saw the reflection, of course I didn't just sort of snap it. I did try my best to get the best reflections possible. Like that light on the left, this pointy thing on the right, the column in the middle, not the reflection not hidden by this nearest post, the purple thing reflected nicely. I couldn't get a reflection of the Eiffel Tower, it's too short, but I tried very, very hard to get everything as good as possible, as good as I could imagine it. And that's what, the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Let me just look at another. I mean, in a way I think it's a bit strange to focus just on one of these, but they're so random. Every single photograph I thought was worth taking at the time, so it actually makes no difference which bunch I look at. I was wandering around 𝗵𝗫𝗓, and as you wander around 𝗵𝗫𝗓, it's on the Esplanade and stuff. Right next door is the Rodin Museum, and Rodin's most famous sculpture is the Thinker. That's right, isn't it? And can you see the Thinker? Well, there he is, thinking. He's got his back to us, his side, a little bit rude. But to see him face on, you have to go in, you have to pay. So I thought, okay, railings fine, conical hedges okay, but it's the Rodin Museum. I want some Rodin in there. And there he was, the Thinker, Rodin's Thinker, one of his most famous sculptures of all. Sneaking into the top right. I've tried railings make great frames, and I've tried to use them for that reason. The trees, the bushes made great frames as well, didn't they? Because he's framed both by the bushes and by the railings. If you notice, there's a hint of a railing on the left and on the right side of the photograph. So it's actually, can you see my mouse? It's actually a frame within a frame. And there's a frame along the bottom as well, which is this bottom bit. And there's no frame along the top. You can't have everything, can you? And there he is. It's kind of cool because it's like we're sneaking up on him. He's thinking, and we don't want to disturb him. I love to anthropomorphize. I love to imagine emotions of things that generally don't have them. But it's a sculpture in the shape of a man. So I'm going to give him some emotions, So I'm pretending that I'm sneaking up, not wanting to disturb him. It's a little bit voyeuristic, but anyway, there you go. So yeah, that was that shot. Kind of pleased with it, but I don't know if I'm going to say I'm pleased with it, because I could say that to all of them and that makes them all the same. But I'll try and say more specifically why I like them. This one, on a train, I think, or on the other platform. sitting waiting for a train, and here's some people sitting waiting for a train. And you might think, why take pictures of that? Well, I'm a street photographer. Street includes, for me, the definition of street photography. I've limited myself to Paris, which isn't much of a limit because it's incredible. But for me, street photography is get on a train. I live in the suburbs. Get on a train, go to Paris, get off at any random train station, metro station. Anything I see from getting on my train into Paris to coming home, even occasionally in my town, but mainly in anywhere in Paris, is street photography. Doesn't matter if it's inside a train station, inside a museum, I don't care. It's my Paris photography, if you don't like the word street. So here I am. And basically what I do is I accept what Paris offers me. That's my remit. That's my modus operandi. That's my definition of what I photograph. It's what I am offered by Paris, by the by Lady Eiffel, by chance, whatever. In other words, I'm walking around and something will catch my eye. Okay, there it is. That's my subject. So, and it's also very much about everyday life, people living their lives. I tried to make it interesting because people living, there was this guy, my famous story about the guy years and years ago, towards the beginning of the internet actually. He had a photo blog and he called it 909 or something, 909 blog. And he took French guy, took a photograph of himself every day at 9 minutes past 9 in the morning. Great idea because no one else had done that. I don't think they had. So, you know, fantastic. The only problem was he was generally in the lift going up to his job, his desk, his office job at 9 minutes past 9. So what could have been an amazing idea was actually endless pictures of him in the lift. So I don't have that problem because I don't have a set time or a set that I take photographs or a set place. I wait until I'm offered a photograph by Paris. So I'm sitting opposite these people and you know, photography is about reflections. It's about seeing ourselves in our subjects. So, you know, I might be looking at this guy sitting on the bench with his mask on, playing with his phone, thinking, oh, poor sod, you know, God, why doesn't he get a life, you know? The thing is, if he looked up, he would see a guy sitting on a bench waiting for a train, playing with his phone, with a mask on. So, who's the poor sod? I like the way he's framed by all of these cheerful posters and stuff. Posters are great for adding something to a photograph. I often take photographs with just one poster with one slogan on. Then it gives it a real feel. And then there's a girl on the left, squeezed off to the left there. So because, you know, it's COVID times, and I've grungified it. You can see it's a platform because I've actually taken the bit below the platform as well. It says something like, don't cross the lines, you might get electrocuted and die. So that's been grungified, and you've got a hint of the train name in the top left there. It's always nice to have hints so you help people understand your photographs. It's clearly a station. If you know Paris, you might even be able to guess what station it is. I think I already mentioned that when I was talking about the 1111, and it came out as I, the letter was I. Yeah, it's a real challenge. I don't know if you're interested in this idea of taking portraits of yourself regularly, as creatively as you can, but I recommend it. It's quite challenging actually. I mean, I find lots of times I could take them, but I've got to watch out for the sort of selfie syndrome. You know, it's just me and some stupid, here's me eating my meal, here's me in front of something. You have to go the extra mile. So my son has got a series of mugs. There's Mr. Perfect, there's Little Miss Sunshine, all sorts of things like that, and I often take photographs of myself with them. This one in the middle is very curious. I don't know if I can't work this out. These are typical Paris metro wall tiles. In the middle of a whole wall of them was this thing. Can you tell me what it means? There's a date. There's a number, I should say. It says 15.3.16. Is that the 15th of March 2016? Could be. the thing is, it's been left there. You know, it's not pretty, it's grungy, it's actually quite disturbing. And yet there it is, it's left there. It doesn't look new. The date, if it's 2016, means that it's about 5 years old. You know, I can't imagine them officially condoning this thing. I'd love to know the story behind it. And you know what? I can't even remember where it is. So this is probably gone. I may never see this again. But, you know, intriguing. And then I've taken it, well, I like my angles. So not only have I tilted the camera, but I've moved off to the side. That gives different effects again. And put this strange tile in a position that pleased me. That's all I've got. I've got the tiles and I've got the black one. That's all you need. A uniform pattern with one thing that's different. That's all you need for a photograph to be worth taking, in my mind. Again, say hello. If you're watching the replay, please say hello. And any questions you've got, any comments, I'd love to have them. Even just if it's a hello, then give me a hello. Give me a hello. This one. This one. Again, it's an ad. Often play with ads. This guy has got a huge eye looking at him. It says, "Adieu, Bernie." Goodbye, Bernie. Adieu means to God. Off to God. Like in French, they have two bye-byes. They have one is au revoir. That means literally to see. It means until we see each other again. But adieu means to God. It means you're off to God, or I won't see you again. So it's kind of funny to have this huge, huge eye and then this relatively small guy sitting waiting for a train. There's a train there as well, you know. Kind of wonder why he isn't getting it. Maybe it's on the other side of the tracks. So, you know, these funny little juxtapositions strike me. Always strike me. I'm always, you know, when I get going, can't stop. Train stations are a huge part of my repertoire, to be honest, because I spend so much time in them. I've got to get less train stations and more of real Paris. But maybe that's not true. Maybe I'm the train station guy. I don't know. There's just so many incredible opportunities. There's so many people doing their thing. They're not worried about someone taking their photograph. And every station is different. It has its own characteristics. I never get tired of them. And also it gives me something creative to do when I'm traveling. Otherwise, you know, one way of looking at traveling time is dead time. I try not to do that, but it's a possibility. So I generally come away from a day in Paris with some shots of people in the stations or trains or views from trains. And maybe one day my last shot will be from just before I go under a train. I wasn't looking carefully enough. So this is actually looking down. And how often we take shots just from eye level looking forward. That's your typical tourist shot. Well, this isn't. This is looking down on top of someone's head as they scuttle from one train to another. With, you know, some interesting sort of bits and bobs and rails and edges of stairs, and there's a bit of to stop people slipping there, and you know, it is what it is. It's a moment captured in my life and theirs. And this one, again, it's on a train platform, and train platforms have changed a lot since, well, in the last year and a half. Year and a half ago, well, let me say what there is now. There are stickers everywhere, you know, talking about keeping your distance, wearing masks, and all the rest of it. And that wasn't a part of our reality a few months ago. So I guess it's given me new things to photograph, but at the same time I don't want all my photographs to have people with masks on. It's getting a bit boring. I want to see some faces. It gave me something to put in the bottom left of the photograph anyway, but that's not enough. You need something else. I love humanity, I love movement, and here's this sort of half sharpish, half blurred feet and shoes going past, and there's a nice angle in there as well. You've got the straight lines up in the top right, and you've got a circle in the bottom left, and in the middle you've got people walking, and it's kind of shiny. You've got what look like reflections in this. Originally it was quite dark, but a shiny-ish surface, and you've got that lovely blur of the feet. it's just a moment. It means what it means, and I can't tell you what it means for you, but it just means for me that I took a photograph at that moment. And I talked about this one, didn't I? So yeah, so that's that chapter, and I'm afraid it's back in, when was it? Back in January. Can you believe it? I haven't updated my photograph panels since then, so I'm actually going to go backwards in time. And if you are watching this, this is a kind of excuse to warm people up for the smartphone masterclass, my next one, number 3. I think it's the only one I'm doing this year, and if you want to check it out, you can go to the address at the bottom here, infinitecreativitynow.com/photo, and make your photographs sizzle this year if they're not sizzling already. Some people who have already done my masterclasses have got sizzling photographs. All the photographs in my promo stuff are of course taken on my smartphone. It'd be silly if they weren't, wouldn't it? There's another one. Actually, it's the same one that I used here. We create, we share, and we learn. And the early bird is still just about open until about midnight American time, I think. So check that out. Right, let's look at some more photographs. So the next one, I'm just going to go backwards and see what happens. It's been ages since I've talked about my photos. If you've got any questions, let me have them. Got any comments? Let me have them. If you're watching the replay, let me know you watched it and give me your comments as well. Okay, so let's see if anything from this one grabs my eye. There's still some from a walk I had around 𝗵𝗏𝗏. And there you see is another version of the Eiffel. I have to go down to blow that up. There's another version of the Eiffel Tower. You see that building there? That's the building that was in the other photograph. But here, you just move a few meters to the left, and what a completely different photograph. You will notice what I was saying about birds. Can you see the bird? Well, there it is, flying, circling around the top of the Eiffel Tower. How cool is that? And there are cannons. There be cannons, and lots of them. So this is just next to 𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏, which Hôtel des Invalides, which is where Napoleon is buried, and it's surrounded by cannons and a huge moat which is empty. Well, I suppose it's got air in it. And this was the shot that I got, and I like it. Another unique Eiffel Tower shot. And wandering back to the train station, I saw this, which is just a couple of hearts on the ground. I played with them, distorted them. You can see a bus, it looks like two or three buses, but I'll let you in on a secret. Actually, it's the same bus. Just played around. And yeah, it's a wacky one. There were 2 hearts stenciled on the ground. So I took a photograph of them and then played with the colours. Funky angles, what more do you want? This one is pretty crazy as well. Again, looking down from somewhere in a train station, and I really went to town on this. I like the effect. It's the sort of thing that I won't explain, you know, and you can just look at it and think, what on earth is going on there? And that's part of the fun, really. It's a creative question. People who create, especially things that are created which don't have an explanation with them, like anything visual, for example. Should you describe them? Should you say why you did it, why you did this, why you did that, what it means, what you were trying to do? Well, it's a question, and sometimes it's better not to answer in words, because if you present an image, well, it's supposed to be an image, not a written commentary. So that's what I did. What do you think? Do you like it? And this is historic. This is it's around the advertising hoardings in the metro, on the platform. And I don't know how many people spot this, but there's actually a couple of letters entwined. Can you see what they are? Excuse me. They are N and S, and that's because it was the old North-South line. Before they had numbers and destinations and all that sort of stuff, they called them the North-South line, or something like that. There was a line 12 and line 13, both go north to south, and there was, I think, were they were they rivals at some point, and then one bought the other, because they were separate lines, separate companies. And it's wonderful to see these vestiges of the past. It's part of one of my hobbies is collecting things like this, curiosities. And there it is, from the old days when this wasn't line 12, if it's line 12, but it was the north-south line. And you can see, strangely, the colours on the poster. It wasn't an advertising poster, it was literally just covered. The whole board was covered, half in blue, half in red. And that is the colour of Paris. I don't know if you know that, but Paris's colours are blue and red, like that. And there it is, so the blue and the red and the green gives quite a nice colourful shot. And the smoothness, although it's kind of bumpy, of the red and the blue, and the lovely detail of this rich ceramic, is it varnished? I don't know what gives it that sheen. Glazed ceramic, which you don't always see these days. By the way, if you're watching and there's any of these photographs you'd like me to talk about, then let me know. Say hello if you've just started watching, even if you're watching the replay. And look, there's another one of those mugs. The last one was Mr. Perfect, and today I'm Little Miss Princess for Christmas. How about that? Suits me, doesn't it? This was quite an abstract one, a geometrical one. This very strange, it looks like a bus, but it's actually a building. And it's the, I think it's the Ministry of the Interior, which is kind of sinister, you know, it makes you think of Big Brother and being watched, and you wonder if there's actually cameras inside this light. There might be actually. But for some reason, someone had the idea of making a round red building, and someone else said yes. Yeah, go for it, Paris. That's why I love you. So there's this lovely rounded edged red building, which is the Ministry of the Interior. And I took a photograph of it, slightly nervous to be honest. And I found this wonderful, and I incorporated the two. So yeah, that's what it is. That's what it came out as. A fun geometrical composition. This one is just Grunge City. And it's in a station which theoretically it's one of the newest stations in Paris, 𝗣𝗵𝘴 François Mitterrand. And it should be spanking brand new, shiny and everything. And if you go down to the RER line, one of the train lines, it's just sinister. It's not welcoming. It's not comfortable. It's just stuff like this that you look at as you're waiting for your train. These huge lumps of concrete. They're actually building a whole new quarter above the place. So I guess everything has to be mega reinforced. And it gives some pretty strange structures. And then all you need is a train, so you know it's a train station. Someone to grungify. I sabify my photos. If you want my exact technique, I sabify them. And it's number 1100. There it is, lovely grungy photograph. This is the only, no, there's this one too I haven't talked about. This one here is just a darn funky shot, isn't it? Go crazy with those angles. Because you can. You think the whole photograph, you look at the train up there in the air on the left, you think the whole photograph's at a crazy angle, and yet if you look at the writing, there's actually some writing that is absolutely on the level. This one here, it's actually as though we're looking at it straight on, which we are. It's not at a funky angle at all, apart from the fact that it tapers away into the distance. Just crazy station. That's Concorde. And they've put some famous paper, I don't know if it's the rights of man or something, on the walls. And it gives, it's great for photographs. As long as if you just take a picture of the wall, looking at it, staring at it, raise the camera, click, okay, you've got a picture of the wall. We as creative photographers need to go the extra mile. We need to do something much more interesting than that. That was what I tried to do here. The last one is a bit cheeky. There are long corridors in French train stations, and some of them are so long that they have shops in them. And this is a laboratory. It's a laboratory of analyse médicale, so medical analysis laboratory. The French are obsessed by this. They're all over the place, these labs. You go in, you have all sorts of tests. Although, you know, kind of useful these days. Well, some wag has got rid of the Y, which makes it laboratoire d'anal something. So the anal laboratory, the laboratory of anal. They specialise in anal. So there you go, for all to see. Although most people pretend not to see it, but I'm a photographer and I see everything. There you go. All right, how are we doing? That was 40 minutes of me talking to myself and maybe a couple of people watching, and I haven't talked about my photographs for ages, so it's quite a treat for me. We're actually going back to Christmas time. A lot can happen between Christmas and June. Oh my God, that's half a year already. I can't believe it. I can easily remember when I was doing stuff around Christmas time. Wow, the people I was meeting, the places I was going. This is crazy. So it's spooky. It's always spooky to look back at photographs. I tell you, this is an incredible reason for taking photographs regularly. Creative photographs regularly, which means something. And I would say daily, but that's me. I've got a record. Look at this. Look at this. You see, this is Christmas Day. My Christmas Day photograph, I think, was this one here. Is that right? Yeah, officially it was Christmas. I don't know if I took it on Christmas Day. Officially, this was my Christmas Day photograph. Look at this. Hello? You know, you don't see a photograph like that every day, do you? Driving down up the 𝗕𝗄𝗎 toward the Eiffel Tower, towards the 𝗪𝗔𝗔𝗔𝗏. Red Christmas lights on each side, tons of cars. And if you look, you've got a reflection of the 𝗪𝗔𝗔𝗏 in the bonnet, along with all the lights and the sky, the triangle of sky. And that represents a trip. I was in that car, I took that photograph, I was heading that way, and the rest, my friends, as they say, must remain a mystery. Oh my God. Is that half a year ago? I can't believe it's half a year ago. That's so scary. Here's me on a boat. This is in a cemetery. Probably not worth me saying that. You could have guessed. But I blurted it out before I realised. Cemeteries are great. We've got a few in Paris and around Paris, and we've got 2 or 3 really cool ones. Namely, name them with me: Père-Lachaise, Montmartre, Montparnasse, and you know, a couple of other little hidden away ones with the odd gem. But those are the biggies with really, you know, interesting, remarkable stuff. To be honest, this might actually just be in my local cemetery here. I can't remember, but there's lots of opportunities for taking interesting shots in cemeteries, and you can be just as artistic as you like. There's no excuse for not taking an artistic, creative photograph in a cemetery, if you have the tools to do it. And I don't mean the physical fancy pieces of equipment. That's irrelevant. You don't need it. You need the tools in your head, which is why Smartphone Photography Masterclass starts on Monday. Join me and get those tools. I'm going to put this little thing along the bottom actually. I've got a funky little thing that runs along the bottom. There it is. And I need never mention again that my masterclass starts on Monday. Check it out. Check it out now to get the early bird price. If you go to the page and it's still there, then it's okay. You get the early bird price. Early bird, basically it means before we start, because I will accept people in the first week. It's okay, not a problem. But then you'll be paying full price. All right. So there's that. This was nice. I was opposite a cemetery, actually, I seem to remember. Not the same one. I don't think this is Père-Lachaise Cemetery. But I do think that this is outside Père-Lachaise Cemetery. You know, I'm standing in the middle of the road. How could you get a photo opportunity there? Look down. For some reason, in this crack in the bitumen, or whatever it is, someone has decided to put a mosaic as part of the street, but it's completely random. It's not like it was done on purpose. It's not, it doesn't look, I mean, it looks really professionally done, but it doesn't look like they planned it from the get-go. Funky splash of luminescent fluorescent green in the bottom right. That's okay, but we needed something more. I wanted something more. Luckily, I had a dog, you know. Okay, there's not much connection between the dog and that, but still, I reckon it's better to have a dog in the top left than nothing, right? And a pretty nice looking dog at that. Had to get down pretty low to get that one, I can tell you. You know, you don't just take a picture of something at your feet and something across the street and get them in the same picture by not moving around. So I was squatting like crazy to get that. This I was on a kind of cemetery run this time, so I had a series of a few. That's a kind of composition, triangular composition with a heart in the middle. It's amazing how so many of the gravestones, graves around the graveyards are broken down. I never understand how gravestones get smashed. I mean, I understand if someone pushes it over, but you know, some of them, they seem not pushed over but still broken. I just don't get that. Like this metal thing here. Why is it lying down? Why, you know, it's a sort of a pole to hold the chain. I don't know why. Is it just age? It's literally just rotted away, corroded away. While I'm on that topic, here's another one. This one has got the rose, the China rose near, and the crucifix in the background. Yeah, it's pretty pretty somber stuff, isn't it? But you know, be creative with anything. I'm trying to be creative with my life. I'm even trying to be creative with my death. I told you that my self-portraits, I call them creative disintegration, as I watch myself slowly shrivel up and fall off the planet. Well, that's not a joke, that's what I'm doing. So I know I'm going to go one day, so I'm being creative with my demise. I don't know what you think of me saying that, but I said it anyway. Here's a bit of history for you. This is a thing that was found when they were excavating and making air vents for the deepest of the Paris metros, which I'll show you in a minute, line 14. They found parts of one of the towers of one of the walls that used to encircle Paris. You know, Paris was actually built through a series of walls. It was very small. They built a wall around it, stop people getting in. Then it was too small, so people started sort of camping around the wall. They said, okay, we'll build another wall a bit bigger, and then knock down the first one. And the same thing happened again and again and again. So Paris grew by walls. Really incredible. And you can find bits of them around the place. This, I think it's the second arrondissement, it's near the Louvre Museum and near Les Halles and the Bourse de Commerce. It was one of those walls, one of the best walls, one of the walls where there's quite a few bits preserved. And look, it's like we're looking at a round thing, and within that round thing is a smaller round thing. You know, what was that smaller round thing for? Was it for pulling up food or water? I don't know. It's really interesting, isn't it? So this is like ground level, but this was possibly the top of the tower, whereas now Paris has kind of risen and swallowed it. So what was the top of the tower is possibly our ground level, which is pretty amazing. The story of Paris is just incredible. So let me take you to this, and this is the famous line 14 that I was telling you about. It's driverless, automatic, and it's the deepest line in Paris, I think, and it's pretty cool. And you can stand or sit right up at the front, like as if you were the driver. It's got these kind of fake driver's controls for the kids, so my son loves this. Okay, I love it, and sometimes I let my son have a go. And you get the other trains coming straight onto you, and it's really cool. You get some really good photographs. This one is grunge to hell. Some of my photographs are much sharper, but that's the effect I chose for this one. So, what do you think so far? Feel free to leave your comments. If anyone makes it this far in. Who would watch 50 minutes of me rambling on about my photographs? My mum? No, not even she does that. if I ever got an angry message from my mum saying, I jolly well do watch all your stuff to 50 minutes, I would probably die of shock. Right, well, there's one more here. Check this out, check this. See anything, what do you think of this? I'm not going to put any ideas in your head. See anything interesting about this? Anything strange, maybe? Well, you should, because it is strange. There are some very strange things about this photograph, if you look carefully. Not going to tell you what they are, not going to tell you what they are. Right, I'm going to show you one more set, the chapter before this one. Chapter 4 of Book 5, Volume 2. Each chapter has 9 photographs in it. And each book has 9 chapters. And each volume has 9 books. And each chapter has 9 photos. Have I already said that? This was just before Christmas. Oh my God, I actually haven't put the one with the words yet. So that's what I was up to just before Christmas, folks. And I can remember it with a slight lump in my throat. There we go, and there's the writing. You see? There's the writing. Have a look at some of these. Have a look at some of these. This is a church in the 15th, not far from the Eiffel Tower. And a shot of the altar and someone praying at the altar through candles. Wow. Things you can do with photography, isn't it incredible? If you know what to do. Come on to my masterclass. Starts Monday. And I'll show you what to do. I think... okay, look at this. You might recognise it. Now look at this. Any comments on that? Well, folks, you were actually looking at the same thing. This is the 𝗏 And if you look at this one, the 𝗏 is on the right. It's a sliver of the 𝗏. That hand there, reaching out like this, is actually on a statue on the 𝗏. I didn't even know it was in such high relief until I got right on the edge and saw it was actually sticking out. I thought all of the statues were stuck, clearly stuck, you know, to the front of it. But no, there's a hand sticking out there. And I thought this was funny. I don't think that many people have got, well, maybe some people have got the 𝗏 and the Eiffel Tower in the same shot, but not like this, I'll wager. Not like this. There's another example of me trying to take unique photographs of my muse, Lady Eiffel. And it's funny, isn't it? Because normally you'd have a subject in the middle, but there's, for anything you would normally have, there are times when you definitely shouldn't have it. Yeah, otherwise it'll become samey. So there's absolutely no subject in the middle of this photograph. The subject is slammed off to the left and slammed off to the right, which makes for an original photograph. There's a time for everything. You did that. If I did that all the time, it would no longer be novel. So you won't see many of my photographs like that. This is one with, well, I don't need to explain what is obvious for you. What did I like about this? Yeah, on this bag that this guy who's sitting behind has put there, it says, "All the pleasure is for you." It must be the slogan of some shop or something. And you see these people slumped on the train, tired after a long day, the masks on, they've had enough, and there's this bag inciting them to believe that all the pleasure is for you, and they don't look like they're buying it. This again is my third one. Occasionally I do, you know, 3 together, so that's the third one of my study of the Arc de Triomphe. Although focusing more on this quite funky sign. Look at that old place name. It's really nice, isn't it? You can see the modern boring ones, but this one is so cute, so cool. Sometimes you see street numbers on these triangular things sticking out from buildings as well. So that harks back to those days, at least 100 years ago, maybe 150. This is in that same church, and this is quite funny. That French there, eau bénite, means holy water. And it's not far off, because they've found a substance which will actually possibly stop you from dying. And it's called what do they call it? Hydrochloric? No, you know, gel to disinfect your hands in COVID times. That is the new holy water, folks. And a couple of legs. This is me. This is the creative disintegration series, as usual. Every 10 shots. So in other words, the photograph moves place. It's not every 9 shots, otherwise it would always be in the same place in the grid. It moves, so it would be there, then it's there, then it's there, then it's there. So because I do one less than one, yeah, you know what I mean. So there it is. What have I come up with this time? Well, here's this guy looking a bit lonely, and he's behind a sign saying the bar, which was one of my favourite haunts a few years ago. A little bit too favourite. And up there in the top right, the road is called Rue des Solitaires. Solitaires Road. Solitaire, in this case, des solitaires means solitary people, so Solitary Guys Road. Which makes you wonder, doesn't it? Why would you call a road that? And there's me on my own, and down in the bottom right you can just about see an advert for some show or something called La Magie Éternelle, Eternal Magic, which kind of goes, you know, not quite the same thing as Solitary Guys Road and this guy thinking about going into the bar. So there is that, and this one. This is an old one, actually. I cheated. I had it hanging around, but it really is quite a classic as far as I'm concerned. This is a church in the Marais. I think it's Saint Paul and something else. And their advert is that here we recharge humans. It's quite funny. We recharge humans. So they've taken modern iconography, like a sort of little battery sign on your telephone that shows how much charge it's got, and they've put it to service in the name of the Lord. How about that? Pretty cool. But that isn't the coolest thing. The coolest thing is, there's 2 more cool things. One is this guy going past. Boy, does he look like he needs some recharging. Look at his face. Poor guy, he's probably perfectly happy. Just the way his face falls these days. And look at that celestial light streaming down from the top left. Vroom! So you put those 3 things together and you've got a corker. Really love this photograph. One of my favourite all-time photographs. And I will finish with this. A lamppost near you. And well, it is what it is, but I must admit I absolutely love it. There was this lamp near the Eiffel Tower, and a seagull would sit on top of it. But it's like it was a prestigious place to sit. It's like who sat there was the boss. So every now and then, another seagull would bomb in, like dive bombing it. That would scare it. It would make the other one fly off, and it would take the top perch, until another one zoomed in, scared that one. So there was this kind of continual rotation of who sat on top of this particular lamppost. It was quite interesting. And I tried to get a photograph, and this is the one that I chose in the end. I didn't know if I wanted one where one was sitting there and another one was coming in. I knew that I didn't just want one with just a bird sitting on there, because that's not very dynamic. It's kind of funny, but not that much. And what happened was I got it when one was diving in, the other, or maybe they were fighting for the place, I'm not sure, but one was diving in maybe, and the other one had just got scared off. And I've got this incredible sort of ballet, silhouette ballet in midair of these gorgeous wings, and it's just, I love it. Someone who shall remain nameless saw this and said something like, "Who let that bunny loose?" And sure enough, the one on the left could be seen to look a little bit like a bounding bunny. And isn't that nice? I hadn't seen that. So it's half ruined it for me and half made it even better. You decide what it is for you. So I'm going to leave it at that. I've been going for an hour. Kind of pleased with myself for having done that. And I'll do it again tomorrow and show you a whole load more photographs. And I'll do it the day after and show you a whole load more photographs. The thing going across the bottom of the screen is my masterclass, which starts on Monday. If you get in, please have a look at it. First of all, look at the page. It's really wonderful. It's a wonderful experience. And you'll end up taking pictures a little bit like these, except they'll be yours. infinitecreativitynow.com/photo. Go there and check it out. It's an interesting page to look at, even if you just want to have a look. And we're still in early bird time. Until that disappears, we're still in early bird time, which is a really massive discount on the full price. And I would love to see you with me. So thanks folks for watching, either live or on the replay. It's been nice to have you with me. Say hello if you're watching this. Well, if you're hearing these words, then you're watching it. So say hello, say that you've watched it, you've seen some of the photographs. If you've got any comments on the photographs, leave them. I'd love to have your comments. It's always a pleasure. And I hope you liked the show this evening. That's all for me now, and I'll see you again in 23 hours. Same place, same time. Bye for now.